What's up, y'all? It's Ty. The moment, the video you guys have been waiting for. What are the best defensive settings to be running right now in NBA 2K26 MyTEAM? Now, this goes for every game mode, whether you're talking about triple threat bark, whether you're talking about domination, whether you're talking about, breakout, anything that you guys got. These are the best settings for you guys right now in the game. Now, this is subject to change, and I will be breaking it down a little bit further as we dive into it. So, here's what's to know. Now, my defensive settings change from year to year, time to time, but I won King of the Court last week with these settings, so these are literally the best settings for you guys. Now, how would I start? Okay, I would start by this. Go into your lineups management and go into whatever lineup you are wanting to adjust the defensive settings. At the time that I'm recording this, don't even know. I think, the settings should carry over from place to place. But just make sure, like, if you're playing, triple threat, if you're playing clutch time, if you're playing, whatever settings, or whatever lineup you're playing with, that you do it for each of them. So you're going to want to go to your lineup, click R1, RB. If you're on Xbox, go over to game plan, then go down to coach game plan. Now, offensively, you can set your freelance. I personally do it, and I can make a video specifically kind of about offense and how to get your spacing right, all those types of things. But defensively, that's where we're focused today. Now, I gotta be honest, there's a lot of settings here I don't touch, okay? I don't touch a lot of these settings because a lot of them I don't really need to touch. So I'll go through that and look at that. But I want to start with on-ball pressure. In the past, I've ran smother. I've tried smother, I've tried tight, I've tried moderate this year, all right? I've tried all of them. And I think the one that I've far had success with is tight. Now, why? Why tight over moderate? Why tight over smother? If you're on smother, normally, like, you used to be able to get bumps, right? You used to be able to get bumps, get into whoever you're guarding, and it would work, right? This year, they just run around you, and I don't know, man. It's just not great. I do think tight is kind of that in-between stage that's perfect. Moderate's fine, but with as easy as it is to shoot on this game, it's just kind of tough to get contested on. So I think tight on-ball pressure is the best thing to be running. Like I said, you guys can see the positives and negatives to each of them. To me, my main goal when I'm playing the game is to not give up threes, right? Like, if I competitively, to not give up threes. Obviously, if I'm playing, King of the Court, it's a little bit different on my strategy, but my main goal is to not give up threes. Tight is the best method. Off-ball pressure. Here's where we got to talk about things a little bit differently, right? I either go on moderate or on tight. Now, this is something, if you never want to touch your settings ever, put them on tight. However, if you are let's say a showdown sweat, and you want to adjust your matchups from player to player, it's something you can do. You can do the same thing with on-ball pressure. So, for example, if I was playing my own lineup, right, the only thing I would touch is for Giannis for my starting lineup and Kwame for my bench lineup. Why? Because Kwame's not that good of a shooter. Giannis's release is pretty baited. So, I mean, if you want to, you can go player by player in the game menu. And so for Giannis, I'd go moderate, moderate. For Kwame, I'd probably go moderate, moderate as well. Maybe tight, moderate for Kwame. But those are the things you can adjust from player to player. Again, set it on tight, tight. Those are the best general settings, but, in game, you can click R1, you can adjust it player to player. And for guys that might not have the best release, or even like let's say a Marcus can be a Shaq, you're not going to want to have your off-ball pressure on Shaq. You might want to have it on, like, leave them for, like, guys that really can't shoot, right? For anybody that can kind of shoot, I would recommend moderate. I do think that is going to be your best form of success. On-ball screen, I have go over on everybody. Now, if somebody has like Giannis or let's say like a Shaq, right? You can adjust it to go under. But if somebody has those guys and they, let's say, throw them the ball, that's when you click onto your on-ball defender and back up, right? Like, if somebody's playing against me and I pass the ball to Giannis, they're going to want to click on to whoever's guarding that and back up, right? And dare my Giannis to shoot the ball. But I got it on go over, go over. Again, my main goal is to not give up threes. Now, the same thing with the hedge. I have catch, hedge, and stay attached on. Now, we'll break down all of these defensive settings at once. People ask me all the time, Ty, how do you switch all screens? Well, you can run a switch all scheme. So, like, genuinely, if you want to run a switch all scheme, you can. Like, if you want to try it out and see how it works, like, you can genuinely, run a switch all screen. I just don't know if I necessarily love it, right? You can, switch screens and do what you got to do. I just don't necessarily love that. Because if I switch a screen, I want to manually do it. okay? So to manually, like X switching, right? For X switching to work as it normally does, you're gonna wanna have your stay attached on always. That way, if you do get hit by a screen, you can X switch. I have a whole video on how to X switch on the channel. Go watch that if you want. But for me, if I want my guys to switch, I want to be in control of it, right? So my guys are going to go over the screen. Sometimes I manually click on the guy and get under the screen, which I can, again, make a video about in the future. But why do I have catch edge on? Well, then my guy plays at the level of the screen. The only problem with this is you may give up the slip and you may give up the roll, right? If somebody runs a pick and roll, you may occasionally give up the roll because your center is playing high, or your guy that is guarding the screener is playing high here, and you may give up some dunks. But again, at the end of the day, and I always say this, if you don't give up threes and you are solid offensively, you should never lose the game, right? So like that's kind of my main approach to it. So go over, catch edge, stay attached on. Again, manually playing the screen, right? You are manually playing the screen. That's kind of how to do things. Now, again, what do I mean by manually play the screen? You can either click on ball, you can either click on the guy setting the screen, you can click on the guy on the opposite hash, pinch middle. There are so many different things you can do while guarding the pick and roll to manually play the screen, right? We're not just sitting in the corner letting our defense handle the screen. We are manually showing different looks. We are manually doing different things, but these are the settings that you guys have to use, in my opinion, to control the situation, right? Control not giving up a three. Control when your guys switch. If you just have switch on all the time, yeah, it's gonna work. But if you play somebody that knows what they're doing, you're just gonna slip the screen every time. You're gonna give up twos really consistently. Now, the other thing that I got is no help on screen, no help on the drive, and no help on cutter. Here's why. If somebody is gonna beat me, it's gonna be by giving up dunks, by giving up twos. Back cuts are not as overpowered this year as they have been in the past. Yes, they can sometimes work. It's sometimes tough to defend against. I get all of that, but it's tougher this year than it has been on the past. And if somebody is gonna help, I want it to be me helping, right? I want it to be me manually doing the work. And so I will say this right now. These defensive settings are settings that you guys are gonna have to get used to because, yeah, you're not gonna get help from anybody else, right? You're gonna have to do the helping, right? Even in the pick and roll situation, your guys are not just gonna, in the pick and roll situation, play it themselves. You're gonna have to get involved and figure out, how your guys are gonna work. It's these settings aren't just, I can put these settings on and sit off ball in the corner. No, you are going to have to still play defense with these settings. And that's what I want you guys to realize. Yes, these are the best defensive settings. These are the best defensive settings to not giving up threes, not giving up fades, not, making your opponent really work for buckets. But at the end of the day, these are not the settings for you if you just want to sit in the corner off ball. Like a lot of people get mad at me for off balling. But at the end of the day, it's not just off ball, right? I'm actively moving my defense in a way that makes it tough for my opponent to score. If I sit in the corner off ball every possession, my opponent's gonna have a lot of success, especially in the pick and roll situation. But these are the best settings, in my opinion, to all around try to get you stops. And like I said, I've got my whole King of the Court road up on Twitch. I've got some of the comp games that I've played so far up on the YouTube. These are the defensive settings that I do run for that. Now, if you do play on Hall of Fame, you might want to go moderate. But with the way that it is right now, it is so easy to shoot on this game that I do think tight is the best way to go. And like I said, if you're playing against a squad like mine, sure, you might want to put moderate on Kwame Brown. If you are playing up against a guy, let's say like, a DeAndre Jordan, you might want to gap him. If you play a guy, let's say like, I'm trying to think of like a rim running point guard, like the biggest rim running point guard. Let's say you're playing like a Russell Westbrook when he comes out. You might want to go moderate on him as well, right? My settings are not just to fix all situation. They're to help you guys out, help you get stops. But again, it's going to take you guys some time to get used to them. But give them a try, see what you guys can do and how it works for you. If they work, let it be known down below in the comments. If you're still struggling, let that be known as well. But again, these are the settings to really not giving up threes, right? If you're still giving up rim runs, it's okay. But if you're giving up a lot of rim runs, really try to work the X switch in there. Really try to work rotations in there. Try to work some other things in there just to give your opponents some different looks. That's going to wrap it up for our video today. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.